Pizza's here.
Jesus. That was fast.
Yeah, I was only gone maybe like 20 minutes. You okay?
20 minutes? Awesome.
Yeah, anyways, what are you working on? Hello, what are you working on? Hey, buddy, what are you working on?
Just missing persons case. Guy named Murphy. He's 20 years old. Been missing for a couple of weeks now. No, he found the body yesterday.
You know what happened to him yet?
Wait on the coroner's report now, but find out soon.
I got an idea. Just hear me out. Maybe he died from high cholesterol. Too much pizza.
I'm sorry. Are you a nurse or a dietitian?
Hey man, I'm just trying to look out for your health, alright?
Yeah, well, you let me eat my pizza. Take care of your patients,
Alright, okay, I'm sorry. Glad to see the police force hasn't changed you one bit, buddy.
I'm glad to see you're such a happy-go-lucky soul even after nursing.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
So,
Not one bit.
how are your wife and kids?
Good.
Haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, good. How's your wife? How's she doing?
Lauren's good. Yeah. She reminds me of you, actually.
What do you mean?
When we were in school, man, when you were younger, I know it's frustrating. It's goddamn frustrating, honestly. Because you were just winning all the time. You were just always on the up. Everything was going your way, just on an easy ride to the top. And I was there just constantly struggling. Everything seemed to be against me, and I was so angry. And, I think the same as back then, at least about the world. It seems like it's such a dark, cold place regardless, but there's a bit of light. Like when I used to look at you back in the days, it used to be burning. I couldn't stare at you anymore. I couldn't look at you anymore. But as we grew older, I think the light you seemed to emit became warmer and just softer. And it felt like I could feel that kind of light growing in me and started becoming more positive. And I think towards the end, when I got my detective's position, I think I got it more because I wanted to follow my career rather than it feeling like some next step I have to take. Something felt like I needed to go there, but it was because I wanted it, not because that just seemed like the natural progression of things. Mm-hmm. The same thing happened with Lauren when I didn't get married because I felt that's what I had to do next in my life instead of being stagnant. It felt like I got there because I loved her. And that light, that positivity that you brought, she had that too, and I don't know, it's been really good. That's what I think I want to say.
Wow. Will Hunt, the pessimist. I never would have thought I would have heard you say something like that.
Yeah, well, you won't hear it again. Now, I'm going to grab a drink. Do you want something?
Just grab me a water, please.
All right, that works. Get this out of here, too.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem. Dave?
Yeah, right here, buddy.
Okay. All right. You okay? I don't know, man. Maybe it's been just too many long nights on this case. Just tired as hell. Probably call it early.
Don't worry. I won't stay long. It's funny hearing you say all that, It feels like past couple of years have been really tough for myself. I know that I got into nursing, and when I was in school, I had this, this bright, naive image of what I thought I was going to be. But it turns out that, other nurses, there's a big problem. Everyone's just at each other's throats all the time. And, nursing is seen by the public like this caring profession, but for whatever reason, the nurses, they don't care for themselves, for each other even. And the patients, I after a few years working, I realized that, you just can't save them all, So then where do I draw the line? How do I stop myself from, giving too much, and take care of myself first before, helping others? So, yeah, I don't know. It's just been a weird few years, man.
I don't know, man. People are dicks all the time, but you can't really save everyone either.
But I mean, come on. We're all in the healthcare profession. Should be working together. We should be a team. Have each other's backs, but it's not the case.
Come on, they can't all be that bad.
Seems like the bad ones are just really bad, and the good ones just don't come around often enough. And, even when you do find a good one, You know, someone who really has your back, and you them, they get beaten up by the system, and they just end up cold and cruel, just like the rest of them. Marrying Claire was the happiest day of my life, you know. Felt like I had finally met someone who made my life make sense and really added to my life. Little did I know that shortly after the happiest moment of my life, I would have the saddest moment of my life.
I'm sorry, man. I should have been there for you when that happened.
Hey, don't worry about it, man. It's, you know, at this age, you know, you're following your career and you got your own family. We're worlds apart, man. It's okay.
But you came to me for help.
Sorry, what was that?
Just, I mean, your mom was always like family to me, and I should have been there for you, man. I don't know why I wasn't.
You know, that was the first time death really hit home for me. I'd been at funerals, but, you know, they're just some distant family members you didn't really care about. And, you know, patients die and their families mourn them, you know, in the hospital rooms. And, you know, there's always a disconnect from those situations. But man, when I lost my mom, I don't know. And, you know, Claire was there for me, of course. But man, it was my mom.
I know, Dave. At least I think I know. This cycle of death and life and death, it's just, I don't know, it's something we all have to accept, really. This idea that I'm going to die, my kids are going to die, their kids are going to die. It's just, I don't know, it's ingrained, it's accepted, it's just what's going to happen. And sure, the loss hurts, but what can you do other than move forward? And I think living my life that way is good enough for me.
I've seen a lot of people die, you know. I remember, you know, the first time a patient in my care died, I was, you know, fresh out of school, and family brought her in. She was just waiting for, you know, a long-term placement, somewhere where they could give her better care, better quality care for her dementia. You know, I was there for weeks, and you just saw her slowly decline. Eventually one day she didn't wake up, you know, and her family came in and saw her, brought the family dog. And then after that, like, what's left after 80 years of life of suffering and overcoming suffering and happiness? You're just this meat bag lying there on a bed. And two people will come by, wipe you off, make sure you are who you are, and throw you in a white bag and zip you up. I don't know, man. You know, you just care so much. You know, you want to care so much about everyone and everything. But then, you know, experiences like that and losing your mother, it just chips away at you slowly and slowly. And eventually, you know, I feel like sometimes when you care about everything, in the end, you end up caring about nothing.
Jesus, Dave. I don't know, man. In our line of work, it just can't be that serious. You just can't hold on. Yeah. Sure, I've seen many bodies in my time. Hell, I've killed quite a few. Remember my first two, if we're talking about it. I answered a robbery call. Guy was still there, freaking out. He's waving his gun everywhere. I don't have my gun out. I'm trying to talk to the guy. He's just going. He's crazy. When he drew and he fired, I didn't even think about it. I pulled. I dropped him. Just right there, watched him go down. Looked at his corpse afterwards, put him away. And I think, frankly, at that point, I just went home and I slept like nothing had ever happened. And I don't know, it just can't be that serious. You just can't be that connected to it in our line of work. I don't know, I think you're tired, Dave. I think you need to get home.
Things I have moved on, you know. The first couple, yeah, they were hard. But then I noticed it starts to hurt less and less. And you care less and less. And eventually, you know what? You just don't feel anything. Nothing. You just go through the motions. Sorry for your loss. And move on to the next one.
Come on, Dave, I think it's time to go home.
Go home, go to sleep, go to work, rinse and repeat. It's become so monotonous. At least I had my wife and kids to come home to. And I loved them. At least I thought I did. And then I go on feeling bad because I was uncertain about whether or not I loved them. And then I guess, you know, you end up feeling bad about feeling bad. And then the cycle just goes on and on.
Hey, Dave, I really think it's time you go home, man.
I can't. After a while, Claire realized the change in me. She tried to help, she really did. She did so much for so long, and, you know, everyone has their limit. She took picked the kids and left, and I don't know. I thought that them leaving would make me feel something, anything. You know, I would even be okay with it hurting, but it didn't even hurt. I didn't care.
Dave, come on, man. Please.
Can't, Will. I can't.
Why not?
It's already too late for me.
Hello? Yeah? No, I understand. Yep. Okay, I appreciate the call. All right, thank you.